a soldier who fought alone for 29 years. It's the end of World War II. Japan has surrendered and soldiers across the country are laying down their arms. But deep in the mountains of the Philippines, one soldier remains. His name was Hiroo Onoda, and he would not surrender for almost 30 years. So, why did he fight for so long? And what was his life like after the war? This is the true story of Hiroo Onoda, Japan's forgotten warrior. Hiroo Onoda was born in 1922 in the village of Iwatsuki. Life was simple. He had a loving family and a steady job working in a department store. But when Japan began its campaign of aggression against China in 1937, everything changed. 3 years later, at the age of 19, Onoda was drafted into the Imperial Japanese Army. After some basic training, he was sent to the Philippines as part of a larger force. It was the beginning of 1945, and the Allies were pushing the Japanese forces back. Onoda and his unit retreated deeper and deeper into the mountains until there were just a few men left. Then one day they received orders to retreat again, but this time without any weapons. Onoda refused. He didn't want to surrender his rifle, even if it meant certain death. When his commanding officer heard about this, he came to check on Onoda's unit. After speaking with the men, he realized that Onoda was right. They had no hope of winning the war, so he gave the order to retreat once more, but this time it was different. It wasn't an order, it was a suggestion. All of the men left except for Onoda and two others. Onoda wanted to surrender, but his two comrades were dead set against it. They attacked the commanding officer and stole his sword, then ran into the jungle. For the next 3 weeks, the three men lived off the land, hunting wild pigs and catching fish. But eventually they were forced to separate. Onoda was on his own. For the next 6 months, he lived in the jungle, hiding from both the Americans and his own countrymen. He survived by eating fruit and drinking rainwater. Sometimes he would find dead animals and eat them, but most of the time he went hungry. Eventually, he became very weak and sick with malaria. He tried to end his life several times, but failed each time. In March of 1946, Onoda finally found some people. They were guerrillas from the Philippine army. He tried to surrender to them, but they didn't believe that the war was over. They had been told that Japan was going to win. So they took Onoda to their camp and forced him to work as a porter. One night, Onoda managed to escape. He made his way to a nearby village and knocked on a house. When the door opened, he fell to his knees and surrendered. Finally, it was over. But when the Japanese soldiers arrived to take Onoda home, he refused to go with them. He had heard too many stories about how Japanese soldiers were treated when they returned home. They were arrested and put on trial for war crimes. Onoda didn't want to be arrested, so he stayed in the Philippines. He married a local woman and started a farm. He also worked as a carpenter. Over the years, Onoda became a local hero. People came from all over the Philippines to see the man who had surrendered 30 years ago. In 1974, Onoda was finally located by the Japanese government. They offered him money and a noble title if he would return home, but Onoda refused. He had built a good life in the Philippines and didn't want to give it up. In 1984, Onoda was interviewed by a local newspaper. When asked why he had fought for so long, he replied, "I was trained to be a good soldier. A soldier doesn't think about things like that. We follow our orders." Hiroo Onoda died in 2002 at the age of 82. He is buried in a small cemetery in the Philippines. Every year on his grave, you can see flowers from his family and friends. This was the true story of Hiroo Onoda, the Japanese soldier who refused to surrender. Do you think Onoda was a hero or a coward? Let me know your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. See you next time.